Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's Technology Spotlight. We'll get started in a minute or two to give everyone some time to join in the webinar. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Well, welcome everyone to this month's Department of the Navy Oracle Technology Spotlight. For today's topic, we will be discussing taking on the contested space in Indo-Pacific and the art of possible through Oracle Tech. My name is Jared Lazo, and I'm the Oracle Account Manager supporting the Department of Navy here at DLT. Sorry about that. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started here. But for Dawn customers on NMCI, we recommend using the Zoom link to view today's presentation. If dialing in, Zoom features will not be available. All lines will be muted during the presentation, but if you have any questions, please enter them in the Zoom Q&A. We will do our best to address these questions throughout the presentation, but we'll also have a Q&A session towards the end of the presentation as well. If you're having any technical issues, please message Felicia Cortez or the panelists via Zoom chat. This tech spotlight will be recorded, and a copy of the recording will be made available next week on the DLT Marketplace. If you would like a copy of this brief sent directly to you, please enter your name and email in the chat section, and we'll send you a copy once it's made available. So a quick review of today's agenda. To lead off, I will be providing a brief overview of the Dawn Oracle 3 Enterprise Software Agreement. Then Kirk Johnson, Oracle SaaS Account Manager supporting the Department of Navy and retired Lieutenant Colonel, will be discussing the art of possible through Oracle Tech in delivering decision superiority from enterprise to technical edge. And following that, we'll open up the floor to Q&A. So a quick overview of the Oracle Enterprise Agreement. In May 2023, NAVSUP awarded DLT an enterprise software agreement for Oracle licenses and services for a 5-year term. Authorized users of this agreement is the Department of Navy, including U.S. Marine Corps and approved contractor support. The managing activity for this agreement is the Enterprise IT Strategic Sourcing Program, or PMW 290. At the bottom of this slide, you will find a link to the DLT Marketplace, which is where this recording will be made available, but also will have information and resources regarding this agreement. So the Enterprise Agreement can be broken down into two distinct parts: the Unlimited License Agreement and the Agency Catalog. In regards to the Unlimited License Agreement products, authorized users have unlimited use of Oracle Core Technology licenses, including maintenance and support for these licenses. Core Tech licenses include all versions of Oracle Database, WebLogic Suite, and the Database Management Packs. The Unlimited License Agreement is centrally funded by the Department of Navy. In other words, what typically would cost roughly $60,000 for a single server license for Oracle Database is now a $0 ITPR as a result of this agreement. Navy's users can obtain access to these licenses by submitting a Memorandum of Agreement, or MOA for short, through the DLT Marketplace. In regards to the agency catalog, Navy customers can procure most of Oracle software licenses and cloud services that are not part of the unlimited license agreement, including the software solutions we'll be discussing today, at a pre-negotiated discount via the agency catalog through May 2028. To procure licenses and cloud services available on the agency catalog, authorized customers should reach out to the Navy Oracle team at DOT for ordering procedure. As a reminder, per the Don CIO, this enterprise agreement is a mandated source of supply, where all Don organizations are required to use this agreement for their Oracle needs in order to achieve maximum cost savings through May 2028. This slide highlights the key benefits of the enterprise agreement. I won't read into each one, but there are a few that I wanted to highlight. First point I want to highlight is that the ESLA improves Navy's buying and negotiation power for maximum discount and cost avoidance. It also provides a centralized ordering platform via the DLT marketplace, which enables greater visibility, oversight, and control over software procurements. It also eliminates the requirement for justification approvals, or JNAs for short, for catalog purchases at the ordering level. Last point I want to highlight pertains to licensing virtual environments or virtualized environments. This agreement allows Don customers to reduce costs by using the virtual processor as a license boundary for Oracle software license calculations. So this slide provides a recap or a summary of what Oracle software is available via the unlimited license agreement and the agency catalog. To reiterate, to gain access to the licenses available on the unlimited license agreement, which are the licenses on the left side of the screen, you would need to submit a MOA via the DLT marketplace. To procure licenses and software available via the agency catalog, i.e. the licenses on the right-hand side of the screen, you would need to reach out to the DLT Navy Oracle team at DLT for ordering procedures. This slide provides additional details in regards to who are authorized users of this enterprise software agreement. But to summarize, all Department of Navy organizations or principal elements of the Navy can leverage the contract, except for when the Navy is serving as a Department of Defense executive agent, an entity which the Department of Navy is serving as a DoD combatant command support agent, and Navy Special Access Program. This slide has the link to the DLT marketplace and a screenshot of the homepage. If you need assistance with accessing the portal or the DLT marketplace, please reach out to the Navy Oracle team at DLT. And with that said, that concludes the Don Oracle Enterprise Software Agreement overview. Next up, you'll be hearing from Kirk Johnson, who will be discussing the art of the possible through Oracle Tech, delivering decision superiority from enterprise to the tactical edge. Kirk, take it away.
All right. Thank you, JR, for that great introduction and presentation. Special thanks to DLT for putting on this event today, and appreciate your time. Next slide. Okay, as JR said, my name is Kirk Johnson. I'm the Navy and Marine Corps SaaS account executive at Oracle under the Government Defense and Intelligence branch. Recently retired just under a year ago from the Marine Corps as a logistics officer in Southeast Asia RAO, following 21 years of service, multiple tours in combat to OIF, OEF, as well as operational tours throughout the Indo-Pacific over the course of 3 years when I was with the wing at MAG 12. Here's our safe harbor statement. Again, this is just to line out the art of the possible with Oracle Tech and its context in the Indo-Pacific. And with that, I'll get into the agenda. So first, I'll outline the problem set, what we'll face in the Indo-Pacific. Secondly, I'll go over the dynamic maritime sustainment and what those requirements will generate. Thirdly, the mandate as we see it here at Oracle in the context of the DoD. Then outline the Oracle Tech. And then finally, I'll put it over the context of the Indo-Pacific and identify things that I'll talk about in the course of the brief and how they'll relate to the Indo-Pacific theater. Okay, so let's get started. The problem set. So we know one, the geography, the sheer tyranny of distance of the Indo-Pacific theater is something of no other scale or place like it on Earth, quite frankly, right? You have multiple choke points, austere environments that the Marines and sailors and soldiers and airmen will be operating in. And then just the sheer distance that has to be traversed, coupled with the type of geography that will be at play. So things like typhoons, the different seasons, and how that interacts with our forces, both mobilizing, uh, embarking, the whole 9 yards of operations. The geopolitics of the area are also volatile and fluid, as we know. We have multiple allies, but we also have partners. And the interplay of each and how they'll come into play will be critical as to where we set up nodes, operation sites, etc. The threat environment also, the ever-expanding pacing threat, as well as violent extremist organizations and lesser threats of nations such as like North Korea and others. The sheer magnitude of the ballistic missiles and conventional missile capabilities are also daunting and will have severe impacts as to how we operate, as many of you know. Dynamic maritime sustainment. So what's involved? So as you can see here, this is a really good snapshot of kind of all the different elements that will be brought to bear, from the Marine expeditionary units to the carrier strike groups, Marine littoral regiments, expeditionary advanced basing, advanced naval basing, naval support and connector vessels, maritime prepositioning forces, strategic air mobility, which we simply don't have enough of. And all that to say, the import of data and data management is going to be a critical element from enterprise through those contested spaces all the way to the forward tactical edge. So what's the mandate? This idea of informational readiness, as we know, is rather nascent, but it's such a critical one and will really come to bear in the Indo-Pacific theater. And all that to say, the import of it will be to ensure that our warfighters, that the Marines at the forward edge, all the way back, can aggregate, analyze, decide, and act with speed and agility. And what I have here is the Act Max statement, which basically says we have to act with a sense of urgency to bring those commercial opportunities to the DoD. So Oracle's not new at this. We've been at this game for 46 years. They actually started with the CIA. And 96 of the top Fortune 100 companies utilize Oracle tech, from OCI, data management, to our SaaS capabilities. And what you'll see on the next slides are numerous allied and partner nations that also utilize Oracle tech, which will be critically outlined for the Indo-Pacific, as well as other global commercial industries. Here's our global footprint. It's pretty robust, 270 global offices, 80 plus regions, 50 public domains, 30 plus dedicated, and multiple multi-cloud and classified regions. And I'll show you within the specifics of the Indo-Pacific here shortly. So within the Pacific theater, you can see our footprint is really robust. I'll outline here just a couple of the more nascent developments that have developed over the course of the last year. Of which Japan, you can see, investing over $8 billion in cloud region support in Osaka and Tokyo, and that'll be occurring from 2025 to 2035. Additionally, Singapore, back in March, the Ministry of Defense and the Singapore Armed Forces started gaining access to Oracle Cloud Isolated Region and air-gapped secure sovereign cloud for computing and disconnected from the internet. Critical capability that caused Malaysia to further invest $6.5 billion to set up a cloud region in Malaysia in October of 25. Oracle's for Startups program is another key aspect. So within the Indo-Pacific theater, extremely popular private sector program in which the region started giving access to data on local supply chains. And that'll be key as we go forward and we're looking to what types of elements could further support our forces abroad. from the commercial sectors if sea lines of communication and other means of support are cut off or further contested. Again, there's even a footprint in the Southcom countries, which will also play an import in any kind of Indo-PACOM operations, potentially. Not identified on here, but of key interest, is that NATO also has multiple countries that are looking into that sovereign cloud region. Germany, Spain, and the UK all have invested heavily. So if there's one slide that I could point to that kind of outlines all of the product for Oracle, it would be this one. So here you can see it starts to paint that picture of Oracle tech and how it sits one on top of the other, starting with our core infrastructure, our databases, and our data, and the applications that ride on top through our SaaS applications, which I'll pay particular attention to those going forward. But another key aspect is the governance and the administration, cloud ops, security, observability. Simply put, our Oracle Cloud is the best data, best tech, and the best AI, all built to work one on top of each other in one cohesive stack, as you see kind of outlined here. But to put it in context for the DoD, think of it as the Defense Readiness Core. What rides on that Defense Readiness Core is logistics, HR, and financials, that iron triad. Get that core operating off a SaaS cloud, sitting on top of OCI infrastructure with the data platforms, the embedded AI services, and it will provide a seamless, automated, fine-tuned process by which to track, process all aspects of that readiness aspect. So what is our Fusion SaaS Cloud applications? And here's a good outline of all of them that are offered, from HCM, Human Capital Management, Financial Management, Enterprise Performance Management, Procurement, Supply Chain Management. I've outlined in that red box to define what that core readiness elements are. But you can see there's others as well: Projects and Grants Management, Risk Management, and CX, Customer Experience. All that, again, rides on top of our Oracle Cloud infrastructure with AI, embedded AI, ML, extensibility, integration, security, and autonomous database. Again, AI embedded throughout each of these components. Another differentiator for our SaaS is the fact that you can extend it via low-code customization. And I'll get into how this will actually play later on as I show how it overlays with the Indo-Pacific theater. Again, I had already mentioned, our AI is not bolted on, it's actually built throughout each component within every application and also within the OCI aspects also. From predictive AI, generative AI, AI agents, and agent teams. Additionally, Oracle Supply Chain Command Center is that think of it as that one common operational picture to increase the visibility of that entire readiness core that I talked about. So you can see there at the bottom, you have each SaaS application from Oracle Cloud SCM, ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, Oracle Cloud HCM, and then there on the far right, you can see other data sources. So again, that ability to incorporate other low-code applications that you may have and that we know are widely at play within the DoD. Our SaaS applications are DoD IL4 FedRAMP as of February 26, 2024. Our government cloud is FedRAMP High, IL2, IL4. Our defense cloud is DISA IL5 authorized, FedRAMP, and Cloud 1. And then US National Security Regions Classified Cloud is Secret IL6 and Top Secret SCI. So here's a quick overview of the gains that could be had from going from an EBS, think of like an EBS legacy system, to that of converting to what will be the gains of going to a SaaS. IT cost avoidance, and then that subsequent reinvestment. improve logistical readiness, improve compliance regulations, think audibility with that seamless automation, improve system usability for sailors and Marines, airmen and soldiers as well. And then cutting edge modernization and innovation, again, because that AI is built throughout the entire stack and each of the applications. So here I'm going to quickly go over how our applications plus our platforms can serve in the Indo-Pacific. When it comes to our platforms, we have our roving edge device. And this is going to be a critical component, and you'll see that outlined next. But I briefly want to just describe what it is. The roving edge device is basically a modem, a ruggedized, hardened cased modem that can be used pretty much, like I said, like as a modem, but has the ability to tap into SATCOM. It's extendable, so you can see how it's scalable. So from the forward tactical edge on the far right, in a DDIL environment, whether on a submarine, aircraft, or a vessel, or even on the ground, you can stack it and build out to the size and the scale that you need, whether on a vessel, a DJC2, the MOC, Maritime Operations Center, or at the Indo-PACOM AOR level. We also have disconnected DDIL roving edge station containers that you can see there in the very center. And think of that as like a 20-foot ISO container with these modular stacks as well as a working center inside. Again, very transportable and deployable. Going all the way back to the core elements that you would see in CONUS, OCONUS installations. So putting it all together, at the top far right, you have basically what would be the enterprise level. The multi-cloud solution going to the inner theater common operational picture there in the center, down to the forward tactical edge, which we know would also most likely include our Five Eye allies, coalition forces, and the FSF at that tactical level. And there's where you would see the roving edge device being utilized. Here's that overlay of how all of these systems kind of come together in the context of connecting the enterprise level all the way through the contested spaces down to the forward tactical edge that you see over here with the roving edge device. Overlaid on top of all this would be the Oracle Supply Chain Command Center, Fusion Analytics, Oracle Analytics Cloud with agentic AI, enterprise data management. I didn't describe that earlier, but basically that is what would pull all that data out of that data lake, that clean that data, and then process with AI, make it actionable, and process it through the SCCC, as well as the OAC. And you can see we have components all the way from gathering of raw materials, supply chain planning, execution, and each of those going from the depot, the TOE of a unit, apologize, point of embarkation, point of debarkation, staging and pre-positioning, again, continuing to use SCM planning and execution throughout this whole process, overlaid with EDM, all the way to the forward tactical edge where you would have that red device at play. So all that to say, Oracle Tech is not the legacy system that many of you may be familiar with during the time frame of global war on terror. There's wide use of AI built, not bolted on, within all of our applications and our infrastructure. The highest quality data, structured and unstructured, for business data enterprise. And a whole host of things I just simply did not have time to get into, but want to make sure we have time to address any questions that may be out there regarding some of the things I discussed today. And with that, I'll open the floor and thank you for your time and attention.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Kirk. I appreciate that overview. Again, if you have any questions, please enter them through the Q&A. But to begin, question that came up that I believe in towards the middle of your presentation, in a detailed environment, denied, degraded, intermittent, and low bandwidth environment, how would Fusion SaaS be deployed?
That's a great question, JR. Thanks for posing that. I'm going to go back a slide or two. Actually, let me go back to this one right here. Okay, so the way the roving edge device, like I said, think of it as a modem. We wouldn't actually, because our SaaS applications require the internet, you wouldn't actually put the whole enterprise application on the red device. Way too big, too robust. There's features that our Marines and sailors at the forward tactical edge simply wouldn't need. But what they would utilizing are low code custom app extensions. With that, you would have someone like the Marine Corps Software Factory or the Army Software Factory, for instance, build out a low-code custom app from, say, supply chain management, and it would have the salient features that the Marines and the sailors would need to function. I'll use maintenance as an example. There's multimodal features and functionalities that would be incorporated in the enterprise system that when you're using the red device in a forward tactical environment, you may only need, say, a couple features to actually initiate the process of generating a service request, capturing the required maintenance functionalities, the parts that are required that may be on hand or may not be on hand to initiate that whole process, right? So you wouldn't need the whole functionality, just key elements and features. That's what would get mapped to the red device, and that is what would go forward to a unit that would say embark from a MEU ashore, operating with the battalion landing team, or a littoral regiment operating in an austere atoll somewhere. The cool thing about the red device is that via that SATCOM, it can either hardline hook up to upload all that data, or it can shoot it through SATCOM and then disconnect if they have to for whatever reason. Hope that helped
Uh,
clarify how that would operate and how that would be
I,
utilized.
appre- I appreciate that feedback. If there's any follow-on questions to that, please enter them in the chat. Another question that came up, and I think this is right up your alley, given your background. How has Oracle implemented DoD logistics requirements for transactions into their SaaS EBS suite? Might be a specific one, but I was thinking just because of you're from logistics command. But yeah, any is that something that we would have to get back to that question with for that do we have to engage a specific subject
Yeah,
matter?
no, that's a really good question, and one that we'll definitely follow up with further details on.
So for the
And I
another
am,
question was
yeah.
to what extent are NATO allies and coalition partners using Oracle tech?
That's a really good question. And happy to report that when it comes to the UK MOD, it's widely utilized. In fact, the MOD has moved out to incorporate Oracle SaaS across that core the core readiness that I spoke of earlier. So HR, logistics, and financials. Getting them automated on the same infrastructure, backbone, if you will, just increases the automation and speed and agility of which information can transact and immediately one from a financial aspect be audible, but two flow and have the AI further uh, operating off it. Uh, I'll go back to that one slide just to draw that out again. Let me see. I'll pull it up here shortly. But I had covered it briefly as far as key regional partner nations and allies. So like I mentioned before, Japan, Singapore, Malaysia. When you want to talk about the sovereign secure cloud regions. You also have Germany, Spain, and like I mentioned, UK, as well as NATO looking to further implement. So a good amount, and it's only increasing with each month.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We'll give sorry, I do see another question that came up. One second. Sorry about that. What other options do you envision a system like GCSS Marine Corps or Mobile Field Service being used at the edge? I understand the potential for MSC or MCSWF analogy, but that may not be an option. So, what
What
other options do you envision a system like GCSS Marine Corps or the Mobile Field Service being used at the edge?
what other systems in addition to those? Is that the question? Did I understand that?
What other options do you envision a system like GCSS Marine Corps Mobile Field Service being used at the edge? I understand the potential MCS MCSWF analogy, but that may not be an option.
Yeah, so there's multiple. I envision again the roving edge device being a critical feature, whether it's mapped with the MFS mobile field system on there. Um, I can also see other critical functionalities beyond, like I said, that the core readiness features. So think HCM, think the CERNA health aspects when you were talking medical, as far as what else could be, further low code custom app created, then mapped to a red device, and now you're operating with the Marines files, uh, on a secure platform. Again, to address those aspects, that it's going to be not just logistics, but it's also going to be the human resource element. It's going to be the medical aspects, being able to transact, track, and observe and analyze that data as far as combat replacements, Marines that are and sailors that are injured, tracking their progression throughout the whole medical process. So the sky's really the limit. There's so many use cases out there, and we're just scratching the surface of them. But like I said, when we talk about some of these components and why I mentioned these cloud regions, there's going to be some countries that are fully online. There are going to be some locations where we may be able to tap into a sovereign secure cloud of a allied partner. And having those Oracle air-gapped regions would be critical, especially if they're an allied partner and we're operating with them. Um, Being able to further interoperate with our allies and partners in that capacity would be a major game changer, and something we're quite frankly going to have to look into, especially if sea lines of communication and again those logistical nodes are cut and Marines and sailors are operating in austere areas where they may not be directly tied back and linked in a direct manner that we're used to in previous campaigns and theaters. I hope I answered your
I,
question there.
I would like to add just one point, and if the concern is that the Marine Corps Software Factory may not have the time, the staff, et cetera, to actually, you know, produce that, low code, no code application extension, et cetera, is there are partners that we've engaged with that actually have uh, built those kinds of extensions already that can be brought to bear.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is, again, that is one of the differentiating aspects. Thank you, Dave, for pointing that out too. We do know the Marine Corps Software Factory is a nascent uh, unit that is looking to only grow and build their capability. One of the key features is a role with the Sun production. So think out of the box and having, say, members of the Marine Corps Software Factory spread around the world uh, amongst the MEF staff or even in the combatant component commands. Uh, around the world, and you can literally within 24 hours have a low code extension created. Um, and to David's point too, there are ways and means to have it done by SIs or other entities.
Right. And the other thing to mention is that the tool that we're talking about, the low code, no code, Apex, and there's another one that's, more AI featured, is comes with the SaaS. So when you engage and procure Oracle SaaS, you have those tools at no extra charge. So they can be used by your people, by SIs, etc., combination thereof, whatever is the most appropriate based on, your needs.
Exactly. Thank you, David. And again, I want to tie it back to this supply chain command center. Think of that as that common operational picture. Again, that entire readiness core, enabling transactional systems to be able to mine the data directly for decision making. Right? There's going to be decision making, an influx of data like we've never seen from sensors, uh, various units scattered throughout the entire AOR. Think of what I was having a discussion the other day with my colleagues, how much territory we're used to just even a line company possessing in, say, in the theater, a rather mature theater like Afghanistan and Iraq were, and the sheer tyranny of distance that a battalion and a company were covering down on. That is going to be so wildly magnified in the Pacific theater that we're going to need tools such as this for higher and subordinate units to be able to decide and act and make sense of all this data. It'll be a critical feature, and having it tied to things like I said before, HCM for the tracking of personnel, a critical component when, God forbid, if we're taking severe amounts of casualties and they're scattered throughout the whole AOR like they will be.
And one of the many great features of Oracle Fusion, the SCM, the ERP, HCM, and others, is that it's one data model. There's no need for someone to integrate all the parts and pieces between ERP and HCM, et cetera. It's one data model. So if you're bringing other data in, those AI tools can help you do just that. The AI tools can actually help you with the day-to-day operations, and just make it much easier and much more efficient to utilize these tools.
Kirk and David, thank you so much for your input and feedback to that question. We still have 20 minutes left for this presentation, so feel free to add any of your questions or comments to the Q&A. Actually, I do see one more.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up. I do see asked a question out there as to whether the WMS warehouse management system is part of our SaaS portfolio, and yes, it is. And for the DoD, it should be available sometime at the turn of the new year, so very shortly.
Like I said, we'll give everyone a minute or two to ask any other last minute questions. And if not, we can give everyone back some of their time and end early. But we'll give it a minute or two to have folks ask their questions. But again, thank you, Kirk and David, for your feedback to these questions.
Yeah, again, thank you so much for your time, DLT. This is I really appreciate it. And again, I hope we were able to articulate the art of the possible with the tech. If you have more questions, if there's something that pricked your interest, please reach out to me or my DLT colleagues. Get in contact with me. Throw my information up here one more time. Really appreciate it. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up directly. And I look forward to talking further in the future.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you, Kirk, for today's presentation. And thank you all for attending. We'll be cutting it a little. We'll give everyone back 20 minutes of their time and cut the meeting early. But look forward to see you next in next month's technology spotlight. Thanks everyone again for joining. Have a great day.